Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow councillors and officers. Welcome to the virtual meeting, our ceremonial meeting of Thetford Town Council. And before I go into the body of the meeting, I just want to touch on that. We hold 2 ceremonial councils each year during the mayoral year. These are held in February and November. And we do this, it's part normally in our traditional meetings, you'll be able to attend our meetings and you'll see the fine regalia that we possess as a town, as one of the oldest charities within the town. Of particular interest will be the mace, which is a replica of that which you find in the House of Commons. So it gives you, we're quite privileged to have that. We are amongst one of the oldest charities in the country. We share that privilege alongside Winchester and London. So that's the previous and current capitals of England. Before we go into the body of the meeting, I would now like to pass over to Reverend Peter Herbert, who will say the prayers for our meeting. Thank you.
Let us pray. Loving God, Lord of abundant life, pour out your blessing upon our nation, our town and our communities, we pray. Where there is illness, bring your healing touch. Where there is fear, strengthen us with the knowledge of your presence. Where there is uncertainty, build us up in faith. Where there is confusion, lead us into truth. Where there is discord, may we know the harmony of your love. We pray for protection for our NHS and care workers, our emergency and other frontline workers. For children, parents and school staff to be returning to their learning refreshed after their half-term breaks. For wise decisions about the reopening of schools and when to ease other lockdown restrictions. And for a timely and smooth continuation of the rollout of the COVID vaccines. And for our council as they meet online this evening, we pray for your wisdom, leading and vision, your inspiration and your grace, that in all their deliberations they might serve one another and serve our community, and that through their work we might all know your blessing on our town. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Now, as we draw our prayers together, let me invite you to join with me, if you wish, in the words of the Lord's Prayer as we pray together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen.
You're muted, Mr. Mayor.
I apologise for being muted, but that probably will be the best I sound tonight, colleagues. So thank you very much. And what I was doing when I was muted was extending my gratitude to the Reverend Peter Herbert. Okay, so I'm going to move into the body of our meeting. It's customary to start our full councils with a public forum where members of the public are able to ask the council questions. Joe, you're organising the live stream for us this evening. Do we have any questions coming forward from the public? Okay, well, what I would do, leave that open, and I will cover the first 2 items on our agenda and come back to that with colleagues' permission. So our first item is 81620, and that's declarations of any disclosable pecuniary interest. Now, I'm happy to receive those now, colleagues, or as we arrive at an item. Do we have any disclosable pecuniary interest at this stage? Thank you. I take silence as golden. Thank you. Item 817/20 is apologies for absence. Over to our Minute Secretary, Mr. Chris Crimmins. Chris, have you had apologies from?
Yeah, there have been no apologies given today. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a full attendance.
There are some missing.
Okay, hopefully they'll be able to join us, as the meeting progresses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, just to come back to you, do we have any members of the public that forward a question while I've covered those two items off? Okay, well then, colleagues, rather than create a void, I will move on to our next item, which is item 818/20. And this is to confirm the minutes of our full council meeting held on the 26th of January 2021, except those items that are dealt with following the exclusion of press and public, and to be addressed under agenda item 828/20. So I'll take you through. Please put your hands up, or either on screen where I can see you, or in the chat function, and I will get to you in good haste. So page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. Can I move the minutes, please, colleagues?
So moved. Agreed.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. I'm actually moving on to our next item. I'm delighted to see this one come forward. This is 819/20, and this is nominations for the mayoral year 2021/22. Can I receive nominations, please? Again, if you can put your hands up, or either in the chat function or on the screen, please. Councillor Harvey, Chris.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Brindle, please.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that, please?
Can I
second that, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Is that Councillor James?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I would like to second it. It's Councillor Crawford.
Thank you. Colleagues, thank you for your enthusiasm. If I could just remind you, if you could put your hands up in the chat or where I can see a physical hand, it would help me facilitate the meeting. Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? Councillor Burnett.
I'd like to nominate Jane James.
Okay. Is there any seconders for that?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
Jane
Councillor
James would
James.
not like to be nominated for mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Are you happy that will be withdrawn, Colin, if that's okay?
That's fine.
Thank you very much. So my understanding is we have one nomination for mayor for the mayoral year 2021/22. That is Councillor Brindle. Without no further nominations, he is duly selected, or elected, I should say. And Mike, may I be the first to offer you congratulations for the upcoming mayoral year.
I'd like to thank you very much indeed, and just to say, to confirm that I had a lovely walk along the river this morning. It's a great town, Thetford, and I feel honoured and delighted to be your next mayor. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Tina, I'm just confirming now we now receive nominations for the deputy mayoral position for the year 21/22.
That's correct.
I would like to nominate.
Guys, second time I've had to request is, can I please request that you put your hands up, or actually put your hands up in the chat function? It makes the meeting so much easier. I've got Chris Harvey's hand up first, and I can see yours, Mike, second. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to nominate Councillor James, please.
Thank you. Mike?
Well, I would be pleased to second that nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? Thank you. You're making it ever so easy for me tonight. Thank you, colleagues. I'm delighted to say that for Deputy Mayor-elect for the mayoral year 21/22 is Councillor James. And Jane, can I just offer my sincere best wishes, and I'm sure you and Mike, we're in good hands for the next 2 years. Whatever you think about the current year, colleagues, please keep to yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I look forward to supporting Councillor Brindle in his role.
Actually, before I close this item, that's quite key. As somebody will be stepping out of the chair in May, I just want to give an assurance, having been through the chair in quite a difficult year, how much I look forward to supporting you both and future mayors going forward. Right. We move on to item 820/20, and this is to receive committee reports. The first committee report we have this evening is Personnel Committee. Over to Councillor Brame. I'm not quite sure whether he is with us tonight.
Sorry, Councillor Brame's not in the meeting yet, so the deputy is Councillor Brindle.
Okay, thank you for that. That was our clerk, Councillor Tina Cunnell. So, Mike, would you like to present the minutes for personnel, please? Mike, you'll need to unmute.
I think I may have gotten an unexpected promotion to deputy chair, but if the
My humble apologies. You're quite right. It's Councillor Crawford. I do apologise, Councillor Crawford. It's been a long day. I think I need to go and lie down somewhere.
Dennis, my apologies too.
Well, I thought I'd been demoted, but that's fine. Okay. Sorry for this. I've got tongue-tied. Page 1.
Keep going, Dennis. If no one shouts, then keep
Okay.
going.
It's only page 1, thank you.
Yeah, there's only the one page. So.
Okay. Would you like to
So
move
I
those?
move the minutes.
Thank you. All agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you, colleagues. That moves us on to the ALP committee, to the chairperson. He says with fingers crossed, Councillor Jeremy.
Good evening. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to Mike and Jane on their election this evening. I hope we have a very good year ahead. And down to business, I'd like to present the minutes, the unconfirmed minutes from the ALP meeting held on the 3rd of February. It's all resolved business. There are no recommendations. So with that, I would like to present the minutes, please.
Thank you. Is that you moving the minutes, Councillor Jeremy?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor.
Awesome. Sorry, it's been a long day. All those in favour?
Agreed. Agreed. Agreed.
Thank you, colleagues. This moves us on to our Civic Committee, which met on the 4th of February. This is over to Councillor James.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to, on behalf of the Civic Committee who support the Mayor in their role, congratulate Councillor Brindle on his role as Mayor-elect. So we'll go to the minutes of the Civic meeting. I beg leave to present them, held on the 4th of February. I'm taking them as per my screen. There are no recommendations. Page 1. We go part way to page 2, and there are some minutes under the exclusion for personal public that we will deal with later. So I beg leave to move the minutes, please, Mr. Mayor.
All agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you. We now move on to our Planning Committee. I'm pretty sure this is Councillor Brindle.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure too, but not absolutely, because you never know. However, if I'm not challenged, can I have the pleasure, please, of proposing the minutes of the Planning Committee held on Tuesday, the 9th of February? And if I take you through them, this is a committee that doesn't normally have to ask anything of the council, partly because it's a committee so-called of the whole council, so everybody can attend. And I'm wittering, but at the same time inviting you to say if there's anything that goes wrong you don't feel happy about as we go through. And I'm now feeling that you've probably just about had time. I've stuck colleagues on, and thanks for doing that, Chris Crimmen. I've stuck colleagues on item G, which you can now see hopefully on your screen, just to take the opportunity, if I may, to remind you of the situation that arises out of a planning application which has gone to Suffolk County Council to open a quarry at North Farm, Elvedon Road, Barnham. The problem for us in Thetford is, just to remind you, and for any members of the public listening, that the plan is to take the lorries in from the A11, which sounds like a good idea, but the same HGVs, when they are full up, the plan is, or the request for this plan is, that they exit onto the A134, which is the road that runs between Bury and Thetford. They could, of course, turn south to Bury. Sad, not our problem. But if they turn north, they will come into Thetford and drive along the Bury Road, and that includes a section of the Bury Road from Amulet Close on, which is the newish road where the gasworks used to be, up to the traffic lights. Already very narrow, already overcrowded. There's parking on it. The pavements are very narrow. It's a pretty dismal prospect. And we have taken action, which you can see at the end of our item. So we decided to do 4 things. They're on your screen, or 3 at least. Yeah, I think they're on your screen now. So those are the things that we've done so far. I don't want to labour the point other than to remind you all as councillors and members of the public that you are entitled to right to make your own comments to Suffolk County Council. You can do it, of course, by email, and you can also quite easily find the documentation provided by Suffolk, because Suffolk doesn't actually do much in the way of planning. It's normally the district councils. So if you put in, for example, waste or minerals, you'd get to it fairly straightforwardly. I can just quote the number. It's SCC, which stands for Suffolk County Councils /0095 /20SE. But if you simply put in Suffolk County Council and then go to planning, you'll find it quite readily. I would encourage everyone to say that we do not want 3 or 4 lorries a day. Sorry, I'll expand on that. 3 or 4 lorries an hour travelling north along our Bury Road, and of course along our Brandon Road as well. It's totally inappropriate. They could go much more desirably out the way they came, back to the A11, and that would save the population living alongside Bury Road in particular, but also Brandon Road, from further excessive noise. If you can complain, please do so. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Mike, would you like to move the minutes?
I'll now get back to the business of the meeting. I'll be very pleased to move the minutes of the Planning Committee.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, we now move on to the BEM minutes. This is myself, colleagues. So I'll just walk you through page 1. Sorry, it was remiss of me to say we actually held this meeting on the 10th of February. I do apologise for that oversight. So page 1, page 2, page 3, and then there are numerous pages of a marketing report full of data. I'm quite happy to walk through the data with you, but I'm sure you don't want me to. Can I move the minutes, please?
Move.
Thank you, colleagues. We're now on to our Finance Committee, and this is back to Councillor James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I beg leave to present the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held virtually on the Tuesday, the 16th of February. There are actually 5 recommendations because the item at 8.10 should read as resolve, as that is within the remit of the committee's terms of reference. So I'll first of all take you to page 1. And the first of our recommendations, which is at 8:06:20, the recommendation that Thetford Town Council approve the making of payments, and that is found in Appendix B.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for that?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Agreed.
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 Anyone against? Thank you. Thank you, Jane.
Super. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. On to 8:07:20, and the recommendation reads that Thetford Town Council adopt the income and expenditure reports, which you'll find in Appendix C, for the 10 months ended the 31st of January 2021, please.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Burnett, thank you. All those in favour?
Agreed.
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 Do I have anyone against? Awesome, we move on.
Super. So we move swiftly on to 80820, which is the recommendation that Thetford Town Council adopt the investment strategy policy, which you'll find at Appendix D.
Thank you. I've just been, before I move to that, I'm going to apologise because my internet's a little bit slow here, but Councillor Hollis had her hand up. Jenny, does this relate to this item? Have I missed you from a previous item?
No, that was way back, Mr. Mayor. No, it's not a problem. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. I do apologise. It's a little bit slow this end.
No,
Jane,
no problem.
And apologies to Jane because I interrupted you in mid-flow. Jane, would you like to refresh us on that recommendation, please?
Certainly. So the recommendation agenda minute item 80820 is that Thetford Town Council adopt the investment strategy policy, which you'll find at Appendix D.
Can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. That's Councillor Hollis. All those in favour?
Agreed.
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 Anyone against? We drive on.
So putting on to 80920, the recommendation that the Finance Committee recommend its the adoption of the financial risk assessment. I'm losing my teeth this evening by Thetford Town Council. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder? Councillor Burnett, thank you. All those in favour?
Agreed.
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 Is there anyone against? Awesome. Thank you.
So we move past 810 because, as mentioned previously, that is a resolved matter. It should not read recommendation. And on to our final recommendation of the evening from the Finance Committee, which is to 81120. And I'm afraid this is a little bit of a long one, ladies and gentlemen. The recommendation is that the Finance Committee adopt the following approach: that the information required for the Transparency Code be aggregated and centralised in one place on the website, that the Transparency Code information be updated on a quarterly basis by the senior management team. The information data set for expenditure be developed by the Finance Officer for approval by the Finance Committee at its next meeting on the basis that payments are not always expenditure. And finally, that the Finance Committee receives an update on the status of the Transparency Code on a quarterly basis so that councillors can gain assurance that there is full compliance with the code. If I may just add to that by way of explanation, this is something that's come up previously in council meetings, whether it be finance or in full council or other committees, and we felt it appropriate to address this. So that's our recommendation of moving forward.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that, please?
I'll be pleased to second it, Mike Brindle.
Thank you, Councillor Brindle. All those in favour?
Agreed.
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 Thank you. Anyone against? A clean sweep. Marvellous.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mercer. We move finally on to page 3. I will not go through all the appendices, so I beg leave to move minutes.
Can we move the minutes, colleagues?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. And that concludes that item. So that moves me on to agenda item 821/20, which is the Mayor's remarks and report. I jokingly made a comment to the town clerk when he was having a discussion the other day. I could sum it up in 2 words: staying in. But it's been a little bit more busy than that. I did have 2 events of an official nature, which is I attended on the 27th of January the Thetford Business Forum meeting. It was good to see so much positive work going on, and particularly the work undertaken by the chair and the vice chair, providing computers and laptops to young people that may struggle with accessing education while still under COVID restrictions. And I believe actually they raised a sum of over £25,000 supporting young local people. So that's to be commended. And the second one was the 11th of February, a virtual briefing from RAF Lakenheath and Mildenhall. And it's interesting, as we continue to progress deeper into 2021's, COVID restrictions continue to impact upon the traditional civic roles that mayors undertake. I know February has probably been the quietest of months in that regard, However, it does not reflect that in other ways it's been a very busy time. A constant for me since May has been residents reaching out, seeking support or advice. And currently I continue to support such individuals who are looking to bring forward new businesses to our town, alongside others who are working on delivery of community projects. And I'm really pleased to be, in whatever capacity I can, to be supporting that. I think the message is simple. The door is open to anyone seeking support for projects, businesses or groups that add value to our community. Yesterday was an interesting experience. I undertook an interview with Radio Norfolk with Chris Gorham on the breakfast show. Believe it or not, I particularly don't like listening to the sound of my voice, so it was an occasion that filled me with dread, but I was glad it was in light of the Let's Talk Thetford consultation. And I took the opportunity to offer a positive view of Thetford to a wider audience. And just one last timely comment, really. In the light of the government's announcements yesterday, I'm pleased that with the continued vaccine deployment programme, we do now have a roadmap to resume something resembling normality. And this would seem a good time to remind residents that both the officers, councillors, individually and collectively remain committed to supporting the community as we step out of restrictions and beyond. Something I know we're all passionate about. It's a very short report. That concludes. If you have any questions or comment, I'm quite happy to take those. I'll take that as I've stunned you into silence. So thank you. Thank you, colleagues. I'm now going to move it on to item 822/20, which is Town Council representatives on other bodies. Can I, our Town Clerk, Tina Cunnell. Tina, are you there?
I am, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I just require your able assistance on the next two items because I have limited access to what I can see on the screen. I can't see the participants in the meeting, so would you mind helping me facilitate going through the room, please, and asking councillors and other bodies?
Oh, they're volunteering themselves. Councillor James has put her hand up for 822. If I could ask other councillors if they want to speak on that as well to do the same, please.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Jane.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of updates. Obviously, myself and Councillor Robinson are your representatives on the Greater Thetford Partnership. We recently met on the 10th. You will have all received Jack's recent monthly report. Apologies for the delay in sending that to you. I blame COVID brain at the moment. And obviously the town clerk has also circulated the minutes from that meeting. So to be honest, you're as up to date as I am now. So if there is anything that we can take back, please do engage with both myself and Mark, and we'll do our best to get those views shared. And also a plea on that front to get on board with the GTP Twitter site. There's all the up-to-date information and things being fed through there. So that's a really good, useful source of keeping up to date on there. If I may, with the council's indulgence, it's more in a personal capacity, but I appreciate that there are fellow members of this council who are town council representatives on the body. I am the treasurer for the Thetford Municipal and United Charities. There are three aspects to that. One's managing the almshouses, and then there's the Poor Charity and the Apprenticeship Charity, both set up by funds from Sir Joseph Williamson back in the day. Through these, we have actually committed £5,000 for the third year running to the Energy Bank, which is provided through the Thetford Food Bank. This is only operated on a referral basis, but we're delighted to make a difference to those people's lives who are in crisis and do need some help, because sometimes it's not just food. You need to be able to cook it as well. And on the other side of things, picking up on a comment that the Mayor made regarding the Business Forum and its fundraising, through the Apprentice Charity, we were delighted with the trustees' support to donate £1,000 to that particular cause. So making a difference in Thetford. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Tina, I can actually see Councillor Brindle's got his hand up. So
Councillor Canham had a hand up first, and then it's Councillor Brindle.
Awesome. Brenda?
Yeah, I think Jane stole my thunder for the almshouses. But basically, I haven't got much left to say on the almshouses. Charles Bowell Museum, they're still plodding along. Can't really give you an update because I think they've been waiting to see what Boris is going to say. But hopefully by the next meeting, they might have something in place.
Thank you, Brenda. Mike?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. An update on the Charles Borough Centre. 2 points. The first is that we're very pleased that we've now had a week of the new chief executive. He's called Nick Chapman. I think some of you will come across him in the near future if you haven't done already. He's a very experienced guy. He's been running a food charity in Norwich for the last couple of years. Before that, he had a career as an army officer. I'm very pleased to have him on the board, on the team, and I think he's made an excellent start. And the second point is just to reiterate something I've mentioned before, which is the existence of the community shop and its important role in ensuring that the community here in Thetford does have an opportunity to acquire food when necessary. So we have on the site a food bank, the food bank. We have a community shop. We have a community fridge. And there's some availability of clothing as well, and so I think that it's a really good contribution being made to ensure that people in Thetford don't miss out. That's about the Charles Borough Centre. Many thanks.
Thank you for that update, Mike. Mike, is it possible? It's Nick Chapman, is it, the new CEO of the Charles Borough?
Yes.
Is it possible at a future council, maybe by a virtual platform, Nick can come along and meet us, and we can make that connection?
I think that'd be a very valuable idea. I've not the slightest doubt that he'd be pleased to have that opportunity. I'll talk to the town clerk about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Tina, is there any other councillors on other bodies that wish to participate in this item?
There's no other indication from the councillors.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to move on to item 823/20, which is report from county and district councillors. Again, Tina, if I could have your assistance on this item, it'd be most appreciated.
Would you like me to just go round?
Yes, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I start. I'm looking across my faces. Could we start with Councillor Jeremy, please?
I'm just going to switch the screen a moment. It won't be a second.
I think Chris is very kindly putting my visual aid up, which I'm very grateful for, Chris.
I thought he was just going full screen on you, Councillor Jeremy.
Well, I wondered for a second, then I remembered that I'd actually got on with producing a written report this month and managed to send it through in advance. So as proof that I've been organised for a change, it's on the screen for you. I'll briefly talk through a couple of the highlights, if I may. You would have gathered that basically when I do get a chance, I do try and do a bit of a sort of complete report as to meetings attended, but I don't manage that every month, but this must have been a good week because I've managed to do it. You'll see from the top section there, Norfolk County Council, there's quite a flooding theme. I'm not a member of the County Scrutiny Committee, but I have been called upon to substitute a couple of times over the last few weeks. And flooding has been quite a dominant issue at County. Obviously here locally we've experienced our own flooding issues, and I've really taken the opportunity to sort of probe the county's response to flooding incidents. A particular concern of me has been around highways maintenance issues and the lack of what I would describe as proactive maintenance, clearing drains and gullies on a routine basis, not just cleaning them once they're reported by members of the public and councillors. And there's an acknowledgement, I think, at county level that lots of our flooding issues do relate to blockages in drains and gullies, because there's a recognised maintenance backlog. I think it's about £60 million is the rough calculation of the cost of the backlog county-wide. So that's of particular interest to Thetford because there's a number of reports that have been produced looking at flooding issues in the town and the linkages to maintenance issues. So that's the first thing. The other big issue, obviously, as it is with Breckland and to us, although we've dealt with ours, it's budget time. And yesterday, Norfolk County Council set its budget for the year. There's quite a lot of press coverage about that, so I won't go into too much detail. I voted against the budget and the council tax increase. It's a significant increase year on year over the last few years, and I felt uncomfortable with that level of increase, which is why I voted against. And without specific support, so one of the main county support schemes at the moment is called the Norfolk Assistance Scheme. It's a very good scheme if you're able to access the help, but I do sense at the moment they are inundated with requests for help from people, and I don't sense that that's sufficiently resourced to cope with the demand at the moment, but that's where I am on that one. Would you like me to do Breckland as well, Mr. Mayor? Sort of carry on.
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. So at Breckland, there's a little bit of a different story at Breckland, really, and I'm really very pleased that, to Breckland Council's Cabinet's credit, it's a tongue twister, they have incorporated into their budget a new hardship fund specifically for people who may be struggling with their council tax. The total fund for the district is £65,000. So basically, if anybody is struggling with their council tax, even if you don't normally receive support for through the sort of normal sort of help schemes with council tax, you can contact Anglia Revenue's Partnership on the number that will be on your council tax bill and discuss what support might be available. Obviously, that's got to be voted on and approved at Thursday's full council meeting, but the indication is that that will be adopted. And that's some specific support, recognising that council tax is more of a challenge now than it perhaps has been in the past. And the only other thing is just at the bottom of my report there, something I do, as I know many other councillors do, is I'm a governor at Diamond Academy. It's been a while since I've been a governor, I must admit. I was last a governor of Charlesborough High School, so that gives you an indication of how long it's been since I've been a governor. Much more requirement on governors to attend training now than there ever has been, and I think that's a good thing. In the last month, I've completed GDPR training, thrilling that was, and much more seriously, child protection training, and all governors are required, certainly at Diamond, I assume elsewhere, to complete child protection training, and that was just as scary, insightful, all sorts of things as I remember when I did child protection training as a youth worker, but I was quite pleased to get that refreshed and updated. And I had a little bit of space at the bottom of the report there, so I've done a couple of press articles which related to the county flooding conversations that took place, and a couple of little bits of casework. The bottom picture is what used to be the bin and dog waste bin at Riverside opposite Snap Fitness. This one wasn't the town council's responsibility. This one was very much Breckland's, and they've taken those little bits away there on the left-hand side, because towards the end of the bench there is actually a much more substantial litter bin which serves that area. So that unsightly bin mess has been taken away, which I'm very grateful for Breckland for doing. And then you'll see the Thetford Heritage Trail photo, which is being picked up through ALP. As well, which is something I've been out and about photographing. So that's my Norfolk and Breckland report, Mr. Mayor, and I think probably once others have spoken, you'll invite me back to do Councillor Stuart Terry's report, which you've rather skillfully asked me to present before I actually read it, and he has written quite a long report.
He did for an 80 pages, so thank you for that. Tina, who's next on our list?
I have Councillor Harvey.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've just got 2 or 3 things. On the last meeting, we had reported the fact the lack of street lighting on the Mill Lane junction on the Berry Road. Thanks to Breckler, they have now fixed that, so we now have proper street lights. I would like to give my thanks to the works team at the Town Council for fixing the leak in the cemetery. Several residents reported it, and that was done very efficiently. We've also been reporting the amount of potholes in the town, the big one in Mill Lane, but worst of all, the surface on the Berry Road outside the Jet Garage. It's been reported to Norfolk County Council, and I've had some messages back saying they're looking into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Who's next, Tina?
I'm looking my way down the list. I'm thinking to myself, who's next? Is it Councillor Brindle?
Over to you, Mike.
I'm looking forward to the 80-page one we're promised, so I'm going to say nothing, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I've missed one out, haven't I? Who have I missed out? Councillor Bray and Jane. Oh, sorry. Yes, Councillor James. Sorry, it's because you had recently spoken. Yes, Councillor James, please.
Thank you. Although how you can forget about me, I'm not entirely sure. Can I just first say in response to Councillor Jeremy's report, I'm delighted that you've decided to join the Eastern Multi-Academy Trust family. I'm delighted to be Chair of Governors at Raleigh and Admirals. They are really a progressive thinking trust, and it's a joy to be able to help improve children's lives. So welcome aboard. Adding to that, following lobbying to the leader of Breckland Council by both myself and Councillor Brain, projects such as an outdoor leisure facility on Button Island and improvements to benches and street furniture that are actually Breckland's responsibility are heading in the right direction, and these will hopefully be completed in time for the proposed reopening of the High Street and obviously the reductions in the restrictions so that we can enjoy the wonderful riverside, as Councillor Brindle mentioned earlier, that we have in our area. And yes, onwards and upwards, and let's make this town, something that we can all be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's everyone in the room, isn't it, Tina?
Yes, we're back to the councillor.
Well, I'm just going to add one thing actually from the chair before we go back to Councillor Jeremy for the updates from the other 2 district councillors that are not members of the town council, because my colleagues between them collectively have covered it all off rather nicely. But just to know, and particularly for members of the public, the Let's Talk About Thetford survey, the closing date was extended to the 28th of February. Initially, it was intended to close on the 21st. I do know there's been a surge in responses. I think it's in excess of well over 1,300 as we stand at the moment responses. It's available in English, Polish, Lithuanian, Portuguese and Romanian, and it's simple. You just visit the www.talkthetford.co.uk. So yeah. It's interesting. I think it's quite interesting. I would like to see what the 3 words people come forward with. Just for the record, mine were community, heritage and opportunity. Terry, would you like to read the reports from Councillors Dowling and Terry, Councillor Stewart Terry, who are district representatives?
Sure, absolutely, Mr. Mayor. I've got Councillor Stewart Terry's. I don't have Susan Dowling's. I don't know if you have that, but I can read Stewart's out. I might have oversold it earlier, but we'll see. So Councillor Stewart Terry says, bins on the Norwich Road estate. He's reported 3 damaged bins, which we believe are Breckland Council's responsibility. The 3 bins in question are all repairable, and the bin immediately outside the Full House Chinese takeaway is completely open to the elements and will encourage vermin. So I know that Stuart's particularly keen to address that one. And then secondly, the Lady Janet MBE, the Lord Lieutenant of Norfolk, Her Majesty the Queen's representative, contacted Stuart just after Christmas after seeing the report in the EDP regarding Thetford resident Melanie Sturman's fantastic efforts in supplying hampers to nominated families in the Thetford community. She rewarded Melanie with a card of gratitude for her efforts, and Lady Dana also inquired as to whether there were other residents in our community that deserved recognition. Lady Dana has since issued a few cards to Sue and Mac MacDonald, who are very active members of the Norwich Road Residents Association and are very proactive in keeping the area clear of litter with monthly litter picks. Tesco's in Thetford were also worthy of a card through supporting many charities through the pandemic through their Fair Share programme, which cuts down on food waste by donating food to the 2 community fridges on the Abbey Estate and at the Charles Borough Centre and other local causes within the town. Chris Rich's Transport were the 4th recipient of a card of gratitude for lifting our town spirits during an unprecedented year with a tour of the town in his Volvo truck, suitably decorated and with music. And finally, last Saturday, the magnificent ladies who organise and fundraise for Thetford Open Gardens, Suzanne Norman, Karen White, Rachel Woods and Susan Dowling have raised in excess of £85,000 over the past 14 years. Sadly, last year's event was cancelled, but the Magnificent Four still raised £5,000 for St Nicholas Hospice. It's also worthy to point out that Thetford Open Gardens are in their 15th year, and Lady Dannett has accepted an invitation to attend this year if it goes ahead. Tesco's and Stuart himself donated a large amount of food to Drake Primary School and Little Pirates in January. With many families struggling to feed their children during the lockdown, Tesco's supplied a large amount of breakfast goods, in which Stuart also matched with some of his Brecon Councillor allowance. And that ends the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you know what's really pleasing about that? When I touched on the previous item and I mentioned my 3 words, the first word I led with was community. And I genuinely believe we have a fantastic community that reaches out and supports each other. And to see it being recognised, you know, at a wider level is brilliant. Thank you. Is there anything else on that item, colleagues, or shall I move on? I'll take your silence as a nod to move on.
I did put my hand up.
I do apologise, Brenda. I can't see you at all. I do apologise. If you could help me by putting it in the chat, that would help me. I've missed you twice now. Over to yourself.
Yeah, it's just the councillor's report. The councillor's report, I thought, was about what's happening in Brecon and what's happening at Norfolk County Council. And we've got down to they're discussing what's happening in Thetford. Well, actually, if they're going to give their reports, why aren't we giving our, our personal reports, what we've been doing? It's just a fault. Otherwise, it becomes one-sided. Because I thought it was they go to meetings at Brecon and they come back with their views. What we're sort of saying about everything that's happening in Thetford.
I've got Jenny before we come back to that, Brenda. Jenny.
It's pretty much the same thing, really. But I mean, all worthy recipients of this card award thing from Lady Dunham, but I'm sad to not see Sharon Thompson's name on that list, and others. I mean, we could go on forever naming people that are worthy of this thing, but I am sad that I haven't. Sharon's name wasn't mentioned, and I've mentioned the lady by name because she does do a lot in this town. If it weren't for her, a lot of people wouldn't be fed or and also, yeah, I mean, can I just say I've reported 2 street lights to County Council and they were fixed within 2 days. Can I say that I've reported flooding on the ladies' estate, but that's not been dealt with as to yet to Breckland. I've reported the underpass between Croxton Road and the Mumford Road, that underpass there, again to County. And I've been quite busy myself if we're doing like what we've done ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, before we go any further, and I don't want to disappear down a rabbit hole on this particular item, the item is reports from county and district councillors. I take on board the comments from Councillor Hollis and Canham. I'm quite happy to pick this up offline and seek further guidance from our clerk regards to this particular matter. I can see I've got one last hand up from Councillor Jeremy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You stole my thunder. The clue's in the title. It specifically says reports from county and district councillors. If the council wants to remove that agenda item, that's within its gift. Or equally, if the council wants to add an agenda item to include updates from individual town councillors, then that's within the power of the town council. I think the whole idea of that agenda item, and it's existed for many, many years, is to ensure that town council members are kept informed of the goings on at county and district council. If that requirement is changed, then the council needs to advise.
Thank you. As I say, I will seek guidance offline and consultate with the town clerk and ask that something's circulated out. And if we need to discuss it as a formal item, then I'm quite ready for that to come forward. But I have no other comments at the moment, so I'm going to move away from that item, close it off, and we move on to item 824/20, which is the Thetford Food Bank. This is to consider a proposal coming forward. I believe Councillor Hollis is going to lead on this. So, Jenny, I'm going to hand the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. What it is before Christmas, I was dealing with some residents that needed help. I was lucky enough to have a town councillor guide me when I asked for advice, and lucky enough that's what he'd done. But since then I've had other cases, and I've had to refer to the food bank. So I actually contacted the food bank myself. I spoke to the lovely man there, and I was always under the impression that the town council weren't a body to provide the vouchers to the food bank. So I spoke to him, and he come up with these 3 options, which you've all been made aware of beforehand. How I've been dealing with it is I've been emailing and getting an e-code, an e-refer code sent to me, and then I've passed that on to the residents that needed it. So what I would like to ask the council if they would become a recognised body for referring to the food bank. The 3 options are all interested councillors can contact the food bank, be an independent agent. I think that's what I'm doing at the moment, who could then receive paper vouchers to distribute after agreeing the terms and conditions for the food bank. Councillors then would need to inform when they leave office so they can be removed as a referrer. I mean, the food bank are going, hoping to go paperless eventually, which everybody is. That's why I do it through the email thing. Number 2, as above, but the individual councillor can sign up to be an e-referrer, and this is what I am. They could get their own login food bank system to generate the codes. I don't. I go through the food bank myself because I think that's a safer and a better way to do it. Or TTC functions as one referral agent, which I was under the impression before Christmas we were, but obviously we're not. And this would require one individual in the council, perhaps a town clerk, to act as an administrator on their system. And then they would be able to just click and invite new councillors to join the system and remove anybody when they left post. As I say, the food bank are planning to move paperless eventually. And as I say, I think option 2 is what I've been doing for the last few months now. And it's just basically asking the council if they would like to become a recognised referral body. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for that, Jenny. I'm now going to open it up to questions or comments, please, colleagues. I've got Councillor James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is probably more of a staffing issue and probably more directed to the town clerk rather than Councillor Hollis. What is the impact in terms of staffing for option 3? Have you explored the art of the possible for that at all, please?
I think if the councillors go for that option, that is something that we would be able to accommodate. But what I would have to know is kind of the expected levels of uptake, because at the moment I don't know how frequently people are referred, and I'm assuming it is something that potentially will be variable. But I think it's a very important service that we could offer, and therefore myself and the SMT would look at ways of ensuring that if that is the council's desire, that we can deliver that a good service to support that.
Just on that, Tina, on that third option, I presume councillors could feed into that process, because it would seem that third option would give us oversight. The other two options would seem you'd have individuals working in glorious isolation, whereas we're acting as a body, as the town council acting as a referral agent. We all feed into it, and there's the oversight, and there's an audit trail.
Yes, absolutely, and also there's the level of us being able to protect data, and it be held in a secure manner and disposed of as part of what we do with other data. I think it's just a system that if we have 16 people who can help people refer, then, you know, if that's what councillors want to do, then that is something that, you know, I'll be happy to support and make happen. And it may well be then that we can have a system where people refer in, not necessarily to their ward councillors, because we know that some councillors do work in other wards as well because of people know them. So potentially you're just expanding the net that you can offer help through.
Thank you. I've got Mike, Councillor Brindle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to thank Jenny for the work she's done on this. It is an important issue, particularly at the present time, and anything we can do to as a team to help, I hope we'll accept. The present arrangement, as I understand it, is that the food bank operates on a system where people are referred from either citizens' advice or from their doctor or from a church. If that seems to us to be insufficient, then I think we should join in, as Jenny has recommended to us. The system is that basically you're getting 3 days of food worth if you're given that. So it's not a long-term or even a medium-term solution, and we do need to be relying on other volunteers as well with the food parcels and the shops and whatever else. But I think as a stopgap, it really is very valuable. And unless we're convinced that those current ways of accessing the food bank are enough, I really hope we'll join in. And personally, I think we should take the, I think I'm calling it a recommendation from the town clerk. I'm going to call it that, which is really item 3, which gives us, as you've rightly said, the paper trail and perhaps keeps a check on what we're doing. So that's my thoughts on the subject. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm tentatively going to say I can't see I've got any other speakers, but I would like to go back to Councillor Hollis as the councillor brought this forward. And thank you for bringing this forward, Jenny, and the work you've done thus far.
Thank you to the council. But can I just say, Mr. Mayor, is the fact that because I've needed it in an emergencies, and they have been emergency cases, that is why I when I contacted the food bank, I do it the e-refer. As I say, I email them a few days beforehand, make sure the clients are suitable for and I get a code sent over to me, and that's working quite well. But you know, for 3, if the council agreed with and the SMT agree with it, I mean, I'm quite happy for the option 3. But as I say, at the moment, I'm using option 2 because I need it as emergency cases. And I'm surprised really these last few months how many people have needed, or that I've had to help trying to rake through food. I mean, out my own cupboards. My daughter-in-law's been running around like a maniac just to try and get people food until I contacted the food and asked them, can we help that way?
Thank you. So we have a recommendation on the table from Councillor Brindle. I believe, Jenny, in a roundabout way, you indicated you was happy to second that.
Yes,
but before we move to that, I've noted that I've got Councillor Jeremy and James in that order wish to make a comment. So Terry and then Jane.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not too concerned by the proposal. I mean, if it works for those councillors who are not currently referring or relatively new to referring, then so be it. But on an individual basis, I mean, I've referred to the food bank for a long while, even before I was on Bretland and Norfolk. As a town councillor, I've referred people directly. That process works for me. I don't personally feel the need to add another layer and to create work for the town clerk and others. But if others want to create a new system that works for them, then you know, so be it. Whatever works and you know gets people the help they need. So I'm not too worried what system we use. The only point I would make, and it's probably for the town clerk and the staff to be aware of, and those town councillors that are doing the referring, when I consider a food bank referral, I nearly always say to the individuals, are you aware of the Bretland Hardship Fund? Are you aware of the Norfolk Assistance Scheme? There is quite a lot of support that's available out there, which often people don't realise. The food bank is an emergency food parcel. It's very short term. It's not a solution in any way. It's supposed to provide emergency food for a very short amount of time, when actually the issues that people have which drive them to the food bank need a longer term solution, whether it's benefits advice, whether it's disability related, that sort of thing. So hooking them into things like citizens advice, Norfolk Assistance Scheme, for me is as important as them getting that emergency food. So possibly it'd be an idea if we go down the option that has been tabled through the council, that the staff just make themselves a little bit more aware of the other forms of support that are available, so that we can make sure we're advising for them at the same time. But you know, whatever works for individuals to get help out there is fine by me.
Thank you. Jane.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I fully endorse everything that Councillor Jeremy said. The food bank and obviously the energy bank, which I have an interest in, you know, they're there for times of crisis, and we need to be able to support and signpost for, you know, other longer term interventions. Might I suggest that the proposal be amended, that we carry this out for 3 months if the council is so inclined, and actually review the referral levels, because I'd hate for us to commit to this and not be able to deliver in a fair and meaningful way and put undue burden onto our staff. So I would like the caveat in there that this comes back in 3 months to review, please.
You've preempted my comment, so I think it's quite right that we monitor and assess to understand the need. Yeah. Mike.
As it came out as my proposal, can I just say I'm very happy to have that as part of the proposal.
Fantastic. I can't see I've got any further speakers. So once again, Jenny, thank you for bringing that forward. Mike's made a proposal with the slight caveat from Councillor James. You've seconded. Can I ask you to vote, members, all those in favour, if you could actually put it into the chat function, agree or disagree, that'd be very useful.
Mr. Chairman, my chat's not working.
I'll take your hands up, Jenny. I'm making an assumption that you will be an agree.
Sorry,
yes.
I'm having a look as well.
I think
agree.
they're all in agreement, Mr. Mayor.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. And I'm sure we may get a briefing note in the future from Tina to the mechanics how it's going to work, because yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Item 82520 is community engagement to discuss and agree any consultation on media release required. Is there anything anyone would like to bring forward that we push out into the public domain, promote?
I think, Mr. Mayor, that once we've I'll obviously liaise with Councillor Hollis, that once we have that set up, we'll have to put something out that that tells the public that they can use their ward councillors as a contact for the food bank.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to move on to 826/20 committee officers update. Do we have any updates since the issue of the agenda, Tina?
No, I don't have anything further to add this time.
Right, okay, so we now move on to 827/20, which is the exclusion of press and public. And this is to consider resolving that pursuant to the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the press and public may be excluded for any of the remaining items of business on the ground that publicity will be prejudicial to the public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business to be discussed. I move to close the public side of the meeting. So we'll